Welcome to Brier's Music Showcase. I'm Bryer and welcome back to another video. And I'm finally continuing my 80s series where I go through every year of the 1980s and name my top 5 favorite albums. So it's been a bit since the last one, and that's because school has really been kicking me lately. But I'm here and we're going to be talking about 1986, a very good year in music. So many different genres here, and that's going to be reflected in my top 5 here. So like before, I'm only going to be talking about albums I have in my collection, so if I don't own it, it's not going to be mentioned. If I haven't heard it, that's another reason, or if I just didn't like it, it's also not going to be here. So keep in mind, it's all my personal opinion. This is not definitive or anything, this is just for fun. So in the comments below, if there is an album I didn't mention but you love, please go ahead and drop it in the comments, and maybe I'll check it out someday. So without further ado, let's go right into the list. Kicking off this list with my number 5, we're starting with some thrash metal. And I can't remember the last time I've talked about this band, but you know, here they are. We have Megadeth, Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? So this is their second album. I don't have the first album, so that's why it wasn't mentioned previously. But this was my first introduction to Megadeth, and I enjoyed it right away. What's kind of funny is because I fell in love with this album first before I got into Metallica. So it's really thanks to Megadeth I'm into more heavier stuff. So of course we all know Dave Mustaine is the main guy, and you know, he started the band. Of course he started after he was fired from Metallica, and then he went on to have great success with Megadeth here. And the first album did fairly well, but this is kind of where they really cemented their status as one of the big metal, pretty much big thrash metal bands in general. So obviously it has this pretty cool cover. You have the whole skeleton, and you have the whole ruined city there due to war and stuff like that. It's got the parental advisory sticker as well. So it starts out with Wake Up Dead, very good opening track. Then The Conjuring. Then you have the title track, where of course technically, well, it's kind of the title track. It's just called Peace Sells, but they say it in the final bit of the song. So take that for what you will. But classic song, just that bass line alone in the beginning is just iconic. Devil's Island, another great hard rocking one. Good Morning / Black Friday. Then you have Bad Omen. Then you have the cover, I Ain't Superstitious, which is kind of the weakest song on here, but still not too bad. But then it finishes out with My Last Words. So top to bottom, it's just absolutely ferocious. And you know, Dave Mustaine still has that iconic snarl that he's known for, which to most people it's kind of a hit or miss. Some people love his voice, some people don't. I happen to enjoy his voice, so it doesn't bother me at all. So yeah, that's my number 5. So let's quickly go ahead and look on the inside, as I've been doing with all the previous episodes. So again, here's the CD, just a nice red color, kind of fitting the color scheme of the CD. Trying to see, this is a 2004 remaster by the looks of it. Then you have the inside, you have the artwork. There's little photos of the band there. Dave Mustaine is on the corner there, if you can tell. So let's go ahead and look at the booklet. Whoop, almost got it. There we go, we got it. So open it up, you get a little bit of a history lesson. And there's a little live shot of the band there. Then you have the lyrics, and then the personnel. So you have Dave Mustaine, Chris Poland, David Ellison, and Gar Samuelson. Hopefully I said that right. It's kind of funny with Gar here. He's credited as drums and cigarette burns. That's kind of funny. Let's keep on going here. So these are more information on each track. Here are the lyrics. So before it was just like information, this is just, now we're getting to the lyrics. You know, it's all in this black text, not black text, but black background, and the white and gold text. Then you have just band photos. So there you have it. Again, great thrash metal album, and definitely a great album that helped me kind of progress in my journey of heavy music. But yeah, that's number 5 for me. For number 4, we have something completely different. You know him, you love him. We have So by Peter Gabriel. This was huge for him when this came out. Of course, it had the massive hit single Sledgehammer, which with that iconic music video. I mean, hopefully most of us have seen it. Just absolutely crazy, but still just very intriguing to look at. The claymation, the stop motion, absolutely terrific video. One of the best of the 80s. But the other songs on here are just as good, if not even better. Of course, it starts out with Red Rain. Then you have Don't Give Up, which of course I'm a sucker for that song because Kate Bush is on the track, so take that for what you will. That Voice Again, another great one. Big Time was another kind of a cute big hit for him. This Is the Picture. We Do What We're Told. But of course, I should probably mention for this CD, the track listing's different. I'm pretty sure the original vinyl had a much different track listing. But for this CD, it has In Your Eyes as the final track, which I've talked about this song before. It was in my top 100 favorite songs of all time. Excuse me while I scratch my back. I'm not editing that out. As I was saying, In Your Eyes, one of my favorite songs of all time. Just a beautiful song. I love his vocals on it, and I love the African rhythm to it as well. Just a nice touch. Especially if you see live videos of him performing this song, you have the backing vocalists and the musicians. It's just it would have been a great experience. Like, I don't know if I'll ever see Peter Gabriel live, but you know, I can just watch the videos. I'm like, I wish I was there. Of course, I probably should mention I did a reaction video to Peter Gabriel's latest single, and of course that got taken down. But you know, after listening to this album again, I can't say mad at him. So that's my number 4. So let's look inside. And of course, the original vinyl didn't have the text on it. That was added later. And the inside's not much to say because it's mostly white. And I'm pretty sure the booklets the exact same. So let's just look real quick. Yep, I was right. It's just white and just text. Just giving you the lyrics. But each song they do tell you who's playing. For Red Rain, you have Stuart Copeland providing hi-hat. So what better percussionist to get Stuart Copeland to do hi-hat? Of course, you have Tony Levin, which he's worked with Peter Gabriel so many times. I think he's still working with him to this day. Yep, just more lyrics there. And here, almost done here. And that's it. Just put it back. Not much else to say. Didn't have a whole lot to say. But you know, it's number 4 because you know the songs I just absolutely love, and you know Peter Gabriel is a great singer-songwriter. So that's my number 4. At number 3, we're going back to metal, and here we just have some standard heavy metal, so not thrash or anything. We have Iron Maiden yet again with Somewhere in Time. Another really strong album. Of course, following up Powerslave is no easy feat because that's still my personal favorite. But this is a pretty good follow-up, I must say. I mean, of course, you have that very sci-fi futuristic album cover, and I'll probably show the full artwork in a sec. I'm pretty sure this has it. Again, produced by Martin Birch again. I mean, by this point, the band was on fire, just releasing banger after banger, and this is definitely no exception. We have Caught Somewhere in Time, which is a great opening track, really sets the tone of the album, and I believe by this point they were starting to incorporate a little bit more synthesizers on here. but definitely not as much as they would on the next one, which we'll probably talk about at a later date. But after the first song, you have Wasted Years, which is kind of a hit for them, very well known, written by Adrian Smith, of course. Just a great song. That's definitely the song that I used to during PE when at times they would allow you to have music. You can bring your phone, you can listen to music through it. And during PE, as you're running or something, I would have that song queued up because that's just like a good song to run to. Then after that, you have Sea of Madness, great song here, and then you have Heaven Can Wait. Then you have Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, very good. Stranger in a Strange Land has a great bass intro, which is absolutely fantastic. Deja Vu is probably my least favorite song, but still very good. And then it closes out with their traditional epics. We have Alexander the Great, which is basically giving you a history lesson of Alexander the Great. So again, if you by any chance need to write a paper on Alexander the Great, just put on the song by Iron Maiden and you should be good to go. So yeah, great album. So again, let's look inside. It's very similar to the ones I've shown before, so of course it's gonna look awesome. So here's what it looks like on the inside. Again, very cool. And underneath you have Eddie again in his sci-fi glory. Then we'll take the booklet out and we'll show the full artwork. So here's what it looks like. Then on this side you can see the band right there. So now let's look inside. So of course, as I've mentioned before, it's in the same format as the other ones I've shown. So you have some photos of the band, many photos. Some information there telling you a little bit of the history when certain singles were released, which is kind of cool. More artwork. Then you have each page dedicated to each member. So here's Steve Harris, of course, on bass. Of course, you have Bruce Dickinson, lead vocalist. Adrian Smith. Oh no, not Adrian. Dave Murray. I got my guitarist confused. Here's Adrian Smith. Nico McBrain on drums. Then the rest is just more photos of live shots. Back to the Future much. But yeah, I mean, you know my thoughts on Iron Maiden. So I feel like I don't need to say anything else because I've just been repeating myself every time I bring up Iron Maiden in this series. But just so you know, it's number 3 because there's 2 albums that I tend to listen to a little bit more. Some might be shocking to some, but we'll continue on. But number 3. To all the Peter Gabriel Genesis fans out there, I am terribly sorry. I love that era too, but for my number 2 of 1986, I'm going to be going with Invisible Touch by Genesis, of course, as I've hinted before. So yeah, it's their pop album. Some people have accused this one being a Phil Collins solo album in disguise. It's not too, I mean, that's I can kind of see why, but, I don't care. I love this album. It's just a great pop rock album. Just so many catchy tunes to it. You have the title track, which I get it. People aren't a fan of that one. Some people would say it's overplayed, but I have no issues with it. It's still a great pop tune. One of my favorites of the 80s. Then you have Tonight, 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 another great follow-up song. I hear people say it's boring, but I enjoy it a lot. Then you have Land of Confusion, another big single off here. Just probably the most rocking song on here. And a great message too, I must say. In Too Deep, it's the ballad, but I love ballads, so again, no issue there. Anything She Does gets a lot of bad rap, but I think that's a fun song. And I like the chorus to it too. Domino, which is the longest song, kind of the most proggy song on the album, but I think it's pretty cool. Throwing It All Away, another kind of a ballad type thing, but I love it. And then it closes out with the instrumental, The Brazilian, a very cool instrumental. I love the synths on it, and I love the percussion on it as well. It's a really cool way to close out the album. So again, if I totally get why many people who grew up with the Peter Gabriel era stuff absolutely despising this album, but for me, I didn't grow up during that time, so I kind of have the advantage of not having any biased or anything. Like, I love both eras except that one album which we won't talk about, but I love this album too. I think I can't remember where I put it in my Genesis ranking video, but it was somewhere in the top 10. I don't know where it is now, but it's still a great one. I have a lot of fun with this album. So let's go ahead and let's look inside, of course. And here's what the disc looks like. Then take it out, you have a little photo of the band here. I have no idea why Phil's looking at Mike like that, but who knows. Then you have Tony kind of being Tony. Okay. The inside, you kind of have this little design, kind of green, and then you have just this black text. I'm pretty sure that's what the vinyl was. If you had the vinyl, excuse me, that's kind of what it looked like on the inner sleeve. Not much to say on the inside, really. You kind of get what you get. Then on the very last page, it switches to an orange color. So there you have it. That's number 2. So we just have one more to go. But of course, let's briefly show some honorable mentions. And finally, at number 1, to close us out, we started with metal, we're ending with metal. We have, of course, Master of Puppets by Metallica. Yep, this is the first one I listened to, and I've told this story before, but I'll say it again. This was the first real metal album I listened to, and at first I did not like it. I thought it was way too much for me. But over the years, I've gone back to this album, and after getting used to the whole metal sound, I can safely say I really do love this album. I would say it's still my second favorite, but on some days, I kind of consider this being my favorite. It's just a great album. I mean, you have so many classic songs, some of the best the band ever did. You have Battery, of course, which is the great opening track. Then you have the iconic title track, of course, which also had a small resurgence due to Stranger Things. But yeah, great song. Thing That Should Not Be. Then you have Welcome Home, Sanitarium, Disposable Heroes, really great song. And then you have Lapierre Messiah. I butchered that probably, but you get what I'm trying to say. And then you have the great instrumental, probably their best instrumental really ever, in my opinion. You have Orion, which again, you have Cliff Burton, just a terrific bass player. Then you have Damage Incorporated to close us out. Great song to close us out. Just, this is the band at their most thrashy. Well, then again, you could say Injustice for All is also pretty thrashy, but to me, this is kind of their peak album. To me, I enjoy Injustice for All, but to me, this is kind of where they really peaked for me personally. And then, of course, there's the Black Album, of course, but I'm only counting in terms of their absolute dark, menacing, thrashy sound. Again, at least in my opinion, but it's a terrific album. So it's definitely my favorite for 1986. But before, let's quickly show the inside. I shown Ride the Lightning before in 1984, so it's kind of in that same format. So that's what it looks like on the inside. And let's take out the booklet real quick. There's not a whole lot to say. I did a short on this one too, and that one did very well. It's kind of bare bone. You have the lyrics, and then you have little photos scattered around. Not a whole lot to say, really. Kind of wish they did it more here. But who knows? Maybe there's like a newer, remastered version of the CD that has more stuff in it. But, you know, in all honesty, I'm kind of fine with this. So, there you have it. Those are my top 5 favorite albums of 1986. Again, in the comments below, let me know some of your favorites that I didn't mention. So next up will be 1987, which is another very solid year of music. So look forward to that. We'll see when that one comes out. Again, with school, it's going to be a little bit more tricky, but I'll try my best. So look forward to that. So again, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I'll see you in the next one. So take care and goodbye for now.